You've got to have a hunger. Not just a nice idea, not just, ooh, this is exciting. You have a hunger. Like I want to transform the corporate world with what I do. That's a hunger. I want people to look at capitalism and corporations and go, wow, they are such a fantastic example. That doesn't really go much these days. I don't know if you've noticed. Right? It's not like I've got a little itty-bitty bit of a goal. I get that I have a massive vision, and that's how I work, and that's fantastic. But I want to transform the corporate world. Now, I also understand I'm not going to. I understand that I'm not going to completely transform every corporation, but I am going to transform the ones that I work with. It's operating from a completely different place, a place of authentic, full Monty leadership. In full Monty leadership, it is about authenticity, it's about transparency, and it's about this wonderful combination of brains and balls. Because unfortunately, a lot of our leadership that we see is people who've got sometimes they've got a lot of chutzpah, they've got the balls, they've got, the way they fire it up, and they're going for something, but they're a bit daft. They've not really got a really clear vision of where they're going. They don't really know the real reasons of why it matters to do it, except that they've got a lot of courage about doing what they want to do. And sometimes that makes them ruthless. But you might have an example by the name of a guy whose middle initial was W. He ran the United States for a while. He had a lot of cojones. I mean, he put shit through Congress and ignored everything they wanted to do. He just said, I'm in charge. I'm the decider. I'm the decider. We're going to war. I mean, he just did whatever the hell he wanted to do. He had massive cojones, but, was a little short in the upstairs department. And then came another president, not saying his name, but it rhymes with a terrorist. And he came along and he had tons of brains. I mean, when this guy started to talk, we went, oh, thank God. The potential of a president who actually can string a sentence together, oh my God, this is exciting. But unfortunately, has been a little lacking in the gonadal area. Because he's not pushed things through, and he's actually been a bit of a rollover for a lot of people. Leadership needs to be both of these things. Now, when I talk about leadership, I'm not just talking about in corporations, I'm talking about in you. And so it's this connection, not just here and here, but the connection, where's the middle ground between these two places? Here. It's pulling the courage up and pulling the brain down into the heart and actually caring. And that's the transformation of business. That's the transformation of corporations. Bringing that together. And that will change the corporate world. It will change why we make money. I had to turn away from the people who wanted to tear me down and tell me to stay where I was comfortable. And sometimes those people were my friends, and sometimes they were my family. But I had to turn away from that and follow my dream. You're going to have to really dig in and do something else. You have to put yourself around people who are going to support you in your dream. I had to turn my back on them. I had to be around the people who encouraged me to move forward. And you're going to be uncomfortable. And some of it you won't like. But I promise you, everything you do will move you in the direction along that path of your dreams. I promise you. How many of you have worked in a just a bad environment, a shitty environment with crappy people? You've tried to succeed in that environment. Put your hand up if you have. Is it easy to succeed in that environment or hard? It's terrible, isn't it? Terrible. Sucks. If we're going to go for gold, we need to set a winning environment. That means no moaning, no groaning, no complaining. What does it mean? No. Because that's not a winning environment. Because winners don't moan, complain, and whine. They do something else. Because that kind of thinking, that kind of behavior has no place in a winning environment. Commit to yourself, to stay committed to yourself, to stay in your heart, and take inspired action even when you're not sure. And I know there's a few of you in the room who don't do anything unless you do it perfect, right? Yeah. By the way, you're full of shit because nobody's ever done anything perfect, ever. There's another level you can go to get the life you want. So, you see, one of the things that I had learned early on is if you want to be great at anything, you have to find people who are far better than you. And you've got to hang out with them. And that wasn't happening in that old business. I was not going to get to that level. So so that is what I was doing in my other world, in my other life. I was going and spending time with these great masters, these great gurus, these great teachers, these great professors and philosophers, and I was hanging out with them, and I was getting on fire every conversation. So, going back over here, and I'm the smartest guy in the room, I'm in the wrong room. Because I'm the smartest guy in the room, this is like not good. Because I'm not going to grow. So I could have stayed there and been comfortable with the money and the situation. It was all great, but I was never going to grow. And that was like for me, not for you, for me, not growing is death. Like, give me a job in the office, and I will become either homicidal or suicidal, and probably the first. Like so somebody said to me, somebody said this to me years ago, what would happen if we put you in McDonald's? I go, no problem. I would transform McDonald's. Absolutely freaking transform McDonald's without a shadow of a doubt. But I couldn't be there more than 6 months. Because I'd do that in 6 months and I'd be like, because it would be growth for me in the challenge, but then it's like, okay, I'm done. That's why I'd be a crap employee. Terrible employee. Because we're like, okay, what's the next? What's next here? So it's that giving that outlet for your soul. And these kids who've never had that stifled inside of them, they know there's something within them, and it's been nurtured, it's been fed. They know there's something within them that's bigger than who they are. And so they become leaders. And when I say leaders, and when they become leaders, they just don't quit. There's a divine spark in all of us. Take notice when that spark lights up for you. Take notice when it lights up for others, and tell them. When you're having those conversations and you see the hair on their neck stand up, you see them, their lights go on. You see them becoming completely enthralled. You've been in conversations where you're listening to somebody and you're thinking, Jesus, what's next? Right? You're just not really present. And you've had conversations where you're not thinking about any of that because you're so in it. That's likely a time when your spark has been ignited. In those moments, you're filled with passion. And in those moments, you are unquestionably a leader. You do things that you wouldn't normally do. You step out. You take risks. When your spark goes on, you're tapping into your unique value set or some configuration of your unique value set. And there's something in you in that moment that recognizes that you have enormous value.